Welcome to Knicks Home Court with your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. This is episode number 54. So, the Knicks are 0-2. This one, not as bad as the first one. But it was a game I would have liked the Knicks to win. Detroit's supposed to be a playoff team. I thought the Knicks, for the most part, played very well, especially in the first half. And you're going to see this with a young team and a team that's trying to find its identity. You're going to see a team play very well and just fall apart. That happens with young teams a lot. When teams develop is when they can start to show consistency. And if you look at Detroit, they've been a better team. They've been together longer. They struggled in the first half and eventually pulled it together. Now, I'm gonna do pluses and minuses again. Pluses, Kristaps Porzingis. Big plus. Told you he's going to be an unstoppable force in this league if he's healthy. Because like I said, he's 7'3". And one thing he's doing that as I'm watching the game, I'm saying this to myself. I'm saying he's doing what I want him to do. He's keeping his elbows up, his arms up, and shooting over the defenders. So if you think you're going to put a shorter guy on him, he's shooting right over them. And it probably looked like practice because I think his brother's like 6'8", 6'9". So that's like good practice. So he's shooting over the guys, and that's all I asked of him. That alone, forget about the dribble moves, all of that. That alone is going to make him a superstar. Just shooting over this, because almost everybody in the league is shorter than him, first of all. And he's shown that I'm going to just shoot over you. Oh, you think y'all going to put little guy on me? I'm just going to shoot over y'all. So I was impressed with that. Overall, I was impressed with his game. Towards the end, he tried to make a little move and it got blocked. That was fine. I actually thought he should have shot the 3, but that was fine. It's okay. Again, I'm not a big fan of who gets the last shot at the end of the game, unless it's within the flow or a player's ran for a player. Because the best teams, when crunch time comes, you don't know who's going to shoot. They have good enough players where anybody can shoot. And they continue. There was a play towards the end of the game where I think Serbiak was saying, oh, Kristaps should get the ball. Kristaps should get the ball. And they ran a play, and it was a nice layup for Ramon Sessions. And I clapped. So I was so happy because I'm like, that is basketball. You run your system. If you believe in your system, you run it and you get it to the open guy. That doesn't mean Porzingis won't get the ball. That doesn't mean that you leave him out of plays. No, he can touch the ball. But in this case, he became a decoy. They were so concerned with him. They made basically, Kyle O'Quinn passes a beautiful pass to Sessions for a layup in a crucial point of the game. That's why you run your offense. That old last second shot shit, don't get caught up in that. That shit is for drama. That shit is Jordan. Yeah, Jordan, you got a Jordan on your team. Yes, fuck the bullshit. Let him bring it up. Let him decide the game. Yes, when you have a Jordan. Last time I checked, he's retired. You don't have that kind of player. You don't have a Kevin Durant. You don't have a LeBron James, by the way, who would pass it. You run your system. Your system will always get you the best shot possible. I'm a believer in that. And the best shot is a good shot. It's not, don't get me wrong, you don't put people on the floor who can't shoot, obviously. But your best shot is an open shot. Always remember that. Your best shot is not a contested shot by a good player, not named Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? Certain people are incredible. Yes, you don't mind who's guarding them. But for the most part, you run your plays and you get the best shot. You have people on the floor that can make shots and you get the ball to the open man. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Now, I thought Kristaps played well. I thought the Knicks played well tonight. I think they bounced back. They played decent. Let me talk about some more pluses before I get into it. I don't even know if I'm going to rant about it. I'm just going to talk about it. Actually, Ramon Sessions played a decent game. I thought for the most part, most of the Knicks he played a decent game. There was times where you see they need a point guard, someone who's a threat. It's not so much having a point guard. Well, first of all, also getting the team into the offense, but being a threat is important. Because there were times that Detroit extended their defense up into Sessions or up into Baker because, you know what? They're not afraid of them going by them trying to score. They're not afraid of that. So you're not going to see that happen to a player like Westbrook or a player like Curry or anyone. They're going to be wary of those players because they can score. John Wall. I mean, I know I'm mentioning stars. What I'm saying is a player that can score, they're not going to press up on them like this. And they're going to have to also pay attention. That's why I'll tell you this. The Knicks pick and roll doesn't have that much bite. Why? Because the point guard is not a threat. The point guard needs to be a threat for the pick and roll to work. I would like to see Tim Hardaway Jr. in some pick and rolls because he's a threat. But so far, he hasn't shot well. But my next plus goes to Tim Hardaway Jr. Because it's not always about, first of all, I'm going to use a cliche right now. It's not about how you start, but it's how you finish, which is true. And Tim Hardaway Jr. was having a rough game. He's having the first two games very rough. He hasn't gotten into the flow. Maybe he's feeling the pressure of his contract. I don't know what's going on. He hasn't even played up to par. He's taking some good shots, but he's just been missing them. The reason why he gets a plus, because in the NBA, when you're a good player, you stick with it. You keep playing. You keep doing other things. You stay in the game. And eventually, your shots will fall. You don't lose that confidence. You keep on playing. However, in the future, we're going to need more from Hardaway. We're going to need him to be an actual threat and not an afterthought. Not an afterthought. Now, he hit a couple of key shots at the end of the game. But again, he's going to need to be more than an afterthought. When Kristaps is going off for 30 points. Because that's not going to happen every night. Another plus, I thought Cancer played well. You see what I was saying? And the funny thing is they mentioned exactly what I said the other day about Cancer being home. He had the nerves. He was jittery. He was feeling weird. I said all of that. I mean, it was obvious because Cancer's a good player. He's not a bum. And he showed you tonight he was giving Drummond problems. But defensively down the stretch, they had Kyle O'Quinn in there, and I don't have a problem with that, and I'll talk about that soon. Let me see any other pluses. I do have a minus coming up, but I'm going to tell you another plus. I'm just going to jump right to it. Kyle O'Quinn. I'm going to give him a big plus tonight. I thought he played well. He had 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. I think he played under control. He didn't shoot any threes tonight, which is a great thing. And he played tough basketball. Even the Garden, Garden like hard workers. Garden likes defense. We like defense. We like players who play hard. And he played hard tonight. He had a good game. He was tough. But the biggest plus of the night, believe it or not, goes to Jeff Hornacek. Why? One, I can see now he's tightening his rotation. It's starting to look like he's getting a rotation. I like that he brought Doug McDermott in. Doug McDermott has a chance to crack the starting lineup eventually. He played very good on defense. He surprisingly, didn't do much on offense. But again, when you don't have a guard that can cause the defense to collapse, they don't have to come off the shooters. Like, the Knicks scored a lot of points on screens and down screens, not really point guard play. But again, Hornacek gets the biggest plus because I liked how his rotations went. It looked like he's getting tight with that. I like that he's sticking to his convictions, leaving O'Quinn in there. And he had his team ready to play today. Say what you want. When a team comes out in the beginning of the game, the first half of the game, especially the first quarter, especially the first 10 minutes, that's all coaching. That's all coaching. The beginning of the game, they're playing the game exactly according to the game plan. The adjustments come later. But so in the first half, the Knicks were ready to play. They were playing really good defense. And you know what? Speaking of that, I'm giving Hornacek the credit. Remember, I said I would prefer them to focus on offense a little bit more. However, if they're going to become a good defensive team, or at least an average defensive team, like ranked 15th or something, I can't knock it. Because what I saw tonight is the Knicks defense was on a string. It was on a string. There was times where you seen the rotations and they were tight. It was looking good. I was like, wow. I like that. If they're going to play tight defense, if they're going to play defense like that, and what I'm saying is team defense, 5 players playing like one, that's team defense. You don't have to be great individual defenders to have great team defense. And that's what the NBA is really about, team defense. Because, there's some special individual players that allow for lapses on defense where they can pick up the slack. But for the most part, NBA players, last time I checked, are unguardable. Just about all of them. And the only way you can really stop a player, basically, especially with all the picks, it's a lot of picks. Every team does a lot of picks. You need team defense and sound rotations. And you know what? That's what I saw tonight in the first half. It was beautiful. Be honest. The offense was working. It was beautiful to watch the ball move like it was. It was just really some great playing. And that was game planning. And I got to give that credit to Hornacek. I wouldn't be fair if I didn't get to the minuses. Okay, so all the minuses are in the second half. First of all, another thing of defense because Detroit turned up their defense, but let me tell you what Detroit did with something I always call for Knicks to do. You can be physical in the NBA. You just can't hack people like you used to. But you can be physical in the NBA. And what I mean by that is get up on your man. Make it hard for them. Kristaps Porzingis got a charge call because Tolliver wouldn't let him run. Impeded his progress for him to run. That's how you play defense in NBA. You make the passes hard. You make it hard for them to cut. If you looked at the Knicks, they were trying to do motion. They was trying to move in the second half, but players were cutting them off. I'm going to step in front of you. You're going to have to run through me, run over me. That's good defense. That's allowed in the NBA. You impede the person from making his cut. You slow him down, which slows down the offense. You get up on the ball handler and make his pass difficult. You're not going to steal the ball. You're just making it hard for him to make the pass. You're extending the defense out to the three-point line. You're being more physical. You're making things harder for the team. And a young team like the Knicks, they're not ready for that. They didn't have a counter to that. And as they get older and as they get more mature and as they learn the system more, they're going to know what to do in those situations. You see, again, that doesn't work against every team, but it definitely works against the Knicks. And all Detroit did is extend their defense, get up into them. And that's the thing that the Knicks got to learn on defense. Sometimes you may not have the best team defense or the best defense, but if you get up on a man, he might drop the ball. It might hit off his toe. He might, you can pick it up. Things like that. And what I saw from Detroit, that's all they did is pick up their defense and made things hard for the Knicks. They didn't really make great stops. They just made it hard for the Knicks, and the Knicks had no answer. They tightened the space. They didn't let them run around and make easy passes. Another negative, the Knicks' defensive intensity in the second half just disappeared. Now, I don't know if that has to do with fatigue, which it could have something to do with fatigue, which means that Hornacek is going to have to find that second unit that can eat up some minutes. Because when you're trying to make a team, the one thing you need to become a really good defensive team is you really need stamina. The old Knicks team in the 90s, when Pat Riley was the coach, they might have hated him, but he always said there's nobody, and Van Gundy was the same way. No one's going to outwork us. They might beat us, but they're not going to outwork us. We're going to play hard the whole game. Teams dreaded playing the Knicks, not just because they beat you up, but they also played you tough the entire game. Them boys never lack for energy. And that's something a young team is going to have to dig deep and find. But overall, I'm not into moral victories, but I thought they played well. I thought it was a game they could have won. And for the Knicks to get better, they got to understand when they have a lead like that, how can we stop this team from, but what happened is when you got a young team, they fell into some old habits. They fell into some habits in the second half, and they just, I can't blame Hornacek when he had the perfect game plan, and when they were executing the game plan, they were busting Detroit's ass. It's when they stopped. Now, some people say, well, it's up to the coach to get them back on the game plan. That's true. That's true. But there's also a thing called growing pains. Now, I want to get to something else. I want to get to another minus. Maybe my biggest minus of the night. And one of my biggest minuses of the night, or my biggest minus of the night, besides them losing the game, is some Knicks fans on Twitter and Knicks fans in general. They're calling for Willie Hernangomez. Like, dude, I'm just one of these people that, look, if he's good enough, he'll be playing. Period. If he's good enough, he'd be playing. Don't get me wrong, I think he's good, but if he's good enough, he'd be playing. You're going to tell me on a night that Kyle O'Quinn played his ass off, you're going to ask for Willie Hernangomez? I like the kid. I like him. But some fans are too romantic about this dude. I remember the Mets had all these young starting pitchers years ago. All these great young starting pitchers, and guess what? None of them became great. That's just how the ball bounces. Remember Tony Douglas? Oh, we need to develop him. He's out the league now. Let me tell you, if you good, you're going to be on that court. They're not going to keep you off that court if you good. Remember that. In practice, you'll dominate. You'll show that you belong. You think Kristaps is playing just because he's our future, possibly, oh, just let him play? No. He's good. That's why he's playing. Billy has to prove that you know what? This might be the best thing for him. If he can overcome this and get himself back into the rotation, that means he's playing defense. We know he has offensive rebounding. What if he starts playing defense? See, if you allow him to play with the terrible defense, then he just becomes a one-dimensional player, which you already have that in Cantor. And someone who's better than him already. So why would you want Billy, who's similar to Cantor, who doesn't play any defense? No. Dude, you're going to sit down. You're young. Don't worry. We love you. We have a role for you. But you're going to have to show some improvement on defense. The only reason Kyle O'Quinn doesn't start is because he's not as good as Cantor offensively. Because Cantor's light years better than him offensively. It's the only reason. But Cantor's a load on the offensive boards. So people need to put this to rest. It's the season's young. There are injuries. Things happen. It might be a trade coming up. I mean, Kyle O'Quinn, I hate to say it, he might be playing himself out of New York. But again, like I told y'all, Hornacek ain't coaching for no tank. He ain't trying to lose. He trying to win these games, which is good. When you got young players, you don't want an organization that's trying to lose. See, what Philly did, remember, most of those players are not on the team anymore that they were tanking with. They kept Covington. He was a diamond in the rough. And they kept T.J. McConnell. But for the most part, most of that team is gone. The Knicks don't plan on getting rid of this team. They plan on growing this team. So the best way to grow the team is like tonight. This was an important situation they was in. I think they did okay, but they lost the game to a team who is better than them right now. So it's just a game. Now they 0-2. Now I wanted them to get this game because see, all I think about the team psyche. I think about the morale. I think about Kristaps. Kristaps don't like losing. Did he play like he care about a fucking draft pick right now? So we got the Celtics coming up. It's a tough game. We got a couple of tough games coming up. So let's see what happens. But I like, and the Knicks need to continue the ball movement, the defense. If that in the first half, I was saying to myself, wow, the Knicks actually look like a good team right now. The way they was on defense, the way they was moving the ball, it was actually really fun to watch. I mean, I was enjoying it. Even in the second half at times, I enjoyed it. But again, teams, it's like a boxing match. And it felt like it was a boxing match. And, you know, the first half, okay, we seen what these guys do. Okay, I see what they did. They threw their punch. Now we're going to do what we do. And that's what happened with Detroit. So, they're 0-2. But I'm optimistic because I'm seeing the things that I need to see from Kristaps. You know, I'm seeing the things that I need to see from Cancer. I'm seeing certain things that I need to see. But more than anything, I'm seeing what I need to see from Kristaps. Remember what I said when I said the Nets, like somebody was saying, who's in better position, the Knicks or the Nets? Well, if Kristaps is going to be the franchise player averaging 26 points a game, if he explodes this season, yes, the Knicks are in a far better position. Because you got the guy. And you got the guy at 22 years old. The guy is here already. You're just a couple of good players away from being in the playoffs when you have the guy like that. And maybe sitting Hernan Gomez down will make him a better defender eventually. And then I heard somebody say, "Oh, well, you got to let Billy play because it's Kristaps' best friend." Man, look, Kristaps want to win games, man. They could be friends after the game, before the game. He want to win games, man. And if they're losing games, like they didn't lose a game because Billy didn't play tonight. They didn't lose a game for the center position. They collectively lost the game. But I'm looking forward to the team play, and that was very encouraging. Watching them play as one unit, defensively and offensively. Man, I like that in the first half. I could take that away from the game. And that's about it. And that brings us to the end of this Knicks Home Court, episode number 54. My name is Greg Armstrong. Everybody take care. Have a good weekend. Peace.